It's one of the absolute sickest tunes from Ozzy's most underrated Axeman, but why are we still studying it over 40 years later? Let's talk about that. Hey kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. Over my many years as a guitar teacher and touring musician, I've learned thousands of songs, and they've all taught me something that stuck with me and helped me along the way. Mastering tunes makes us better players, and that's why every guitarist should learn Bark at the Moon by Ozzy Osbourne, featuring the one and only Jake E. Lee on guitar. Yeah man, one of the baddest guitar tunes of all time, and in today's video I'm going to take you guys on a guided tour through it and show you why it still matters today. I've actually done a number of videos on Bark at the Moon here on my channel, including one that's a full breakdown on every single guitar part in the entire song. So if you want a full-on lesson on how to play all these parts, that's the one that you need to check out. I'll be sure to put a link to that down there in the video description. That lesson's gonna act as a great side dish to go along with this one, but if you want to get even more out of this video, sign up today to my Patreon page over at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. It's the greatest place on the internet. People are saying it. I'm just telling you what they're saying. Sign up today for all kinds of bonus goodies like backing tracks, downloadable tabs, and so much more. This week, everybody who supports the channel, even for just $1 a month, is going to get a very super extended and ad-free cut of this video with a little bit more of everything. You don't want to miss out on that, so don't delay. Sign up today over at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. My man Kevin over at Iconic Guitars just shipped this Bad Larry out to me to try out, and I am in love. I very well, might change my phone number. Maybe I move, maybe I lose his return address, because this thing might just have to stay with me. This thing is incredible. One pickup, Floyd Rose tremolo, one knob, because fuck tone. Tone is a myth. And of course, it only makes sense that I'm playing through the incredible Friedman Jake E. Lee 50 amp. Oh my goodness gracious, this thing is amazing. But that's enough talk about the toys. Let's get a little bit more deeplier on what makes this tune tick. It only makes sense to start off by talking about that iconic opening riff. Let's check it out. The chord stabs in that riff feature some pretty brutal stretches, all the way from 5 to 10 at one point. It's pretty nasty. But if you learn it, it can help you learn to get used to using the natural span that your hands can offer if you know how to position them correctly. The thing I want you guys to really focus on is this part of the hand right here, kind of the bridge of the palm where your fingers sort of attach. There should be some room between that and the edge of the neck, and let me tell you why. Whenever you have your hand in this position, where the palm is kind of touching the edge of the neck like that, check it out. Your fingertips, which are the fretting surface, of course, are now too long for the neck. You see that? They're sticking up above the neck, which means if you want to get them on the strings, you have to cut them in half to make it happen. That's why a lot of players struggle with these stretches. It's because they're using half the length of their fingers. Instead, what if you took that mitten position right there and just dropped the entire thing down so that your fingertips are on the strings? Well, if you're in that position, you're going to notice it opened up some space right here between your palm and the edge of the neck. Whenever you have that position going on, regardless of where your thumb is, it means that your fingertips are going to be on the strings without having to bend over to get there. It's going to make those stretches a whole lot more easier. There's no way I could do that if my hand was like this. I just assumed my hands were too small to play guitar, probably put everything on eBay, sell it, and become a janitor. And I mean that with zero offense to our janitorial community. You guys keep America clean. Keep doing what you do. So this riff features a pedal tone bass note and then some chord stabs on the high strings. Kind of similar to like the Crazy Train verse riff if you think about it. Those two riffs share more DNA than me and my date that I took to homeschool prom. And if you master either one, it's going to help you get down something that I call the Aussie bounce, because I've noticed like all of his guitar players do this. Even a riff like Miracle Man with Zach on guitar, it's kind of the same idea. What I'm talking about is that bounce that your picking hand has to do to get from the bass note to the chords. Over the years, I've taught like hundreds of different students both of those songs, and I've noticed something that people struggle with is getting all 4 of those open A string bass notes in either riff. I hear a lot of players end up with something that sounds more like this. Da-da-dum, ba, da-da-dum, bum, instead of tuka-tuka-da, tuka-tuka-da. Usually this happens because people don't trust their pick to be able to get to the chord fast enough. So instead of going da-da-da-da chord, a lot of times if you look really close, the players that struggle with this technique are going more like this. Da-da-da, and doing this kind of like half-formed da-da-da, kind of upstroke, but I don't really trust it enough. I gotta get to the chord, I'm gonna be late, right? What you gotta do is to take that entire mechanism and downward pick slant it, meaning turn it on its axis this way. Do you see what just happened? Instead of my picking path being literally up and down, now it's moving diagonally in and out, just the way your mother likes it. Now, whenever I do that, that means it's going to be really easy for me to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and crash into that chord easily because my upstroke is out and away from the strings. That makes it entirely possible to smack that chord every single time. Watch a little bit more closely here, I'll show you what I mean. So with my picking angle really vertical and going up and down like this, it's really hard. But if I turn that entire thing on its axis so that it's moving more like this right here, do it a little slower. Now you can see that upstroke is popping out of the strings, right? That makes it really easy to hit all 4 notes and smack that chord. That downwards pick slanting approach is also going to help you when you get to the chorus and start playing those double picking licks. There's a different one in every chorus, and again, they're all in that lesson I put up a couple of years ago. So basically all the lick is like this. Only you're striking each note 2 times. And again, if your pick path is really vertical like this, it's really not gonna work. If you have your picking on that sort of diagonal axis, it's really easy because you're always going da-da, away from the strings. Da-da, you're away from the strings. Same thing goes for that lick in the bridge riff of the song later on. Get your downward pick slant on, it's gonna make your life a whole lot more easier. Speaking of which, the bridge riff of this tune is so badass, and it's a great place where you can learn how to start incorporating some licks into your rhythm playing, kind of in that legendary Eddie Van Halen or Nuno Bettencourt kind of style. So check it out again at Stepdad Speed. But there's more to it than just play some hot lick and then get back to playing rhythm guitar. The way that Jake does this is really intelligent because it still implies chord harmony. Here's what I mean. So he starts off by playing these sets of dyads here. And that one right there that we land on with the G and B note is kind of implying a G major sound, as that's the root and third of a G chord. The licks that he plays are all implying more chord tones from a G major. Okay, a G major is just the notes G, B, and D. And if you look at the licks that Jake is playing, They really nail those tones over and over. That first thing on the G right there was G and B, again root and third of the G chord. And then this set of octaves slides up to the D, which is the fifth of a G chord. Again, that's a note that's in the chord, and it lands on B, the third again. So even though that's the furthest thing you could think of from like an arpeggio, it's still serving the same purpose. It's outlining the sound of that G major chord. That's how you make combination playing work great. It's not just play something that's in the scale that's really fast. It's not that. If you're doing this intelligently, like Jake did in this song, you're always going to be implying whatever the harmony of the chord you're playing against is. This is one of the most important lessons I can ever tell you as a guitar player. Think less about playing in key, think more about playing in chord. The second bridge section of the song goes to an F Lydian tonality. It's got those pre-Zakk Wylde squealy boys happening. And if you work on this section, it's going to help you learn how to use your thumb in your chord work. That way your other digits are free to play some extensions on top. I'm kind of taking some liberties right there. I don't remember the exact phrasing that he has on some of those licks, but it's something like that. You can find the isolated guitar track here on YouTube and give it a listen and hear them. It's buried really low in the mix. I remember the first time that I learned those parts, I was trying to do it with this conventional fingering. It just couldn't make it work until I started using the thumb like that on top. Some people have trouble using their thumb because they just overthink it. It doesn't really have to be that way. Your thumb is just a big dumb latch that comes on and off of the strings, just like that right there. Just wrap it around there, give it a little bit of a bend, and you're probably gonna be just fine so you can play those licks in the bridge. And then, of course, there's that legendary solo, and there's so much awesome stuff you can learn from it. Hammer don't hurt him. It's such a badass solo, and there's a lot that we can learn here about the power of sass. I'm talking about that toot, I'm talking about that taste that he's putting on top of every note. You can really hear how much he's digging in with the pick. From like the very first note, you can hear how aggressive he is with those bends and vibrato. The pinch harmonics, all the goods. It doesn't sound the same if you're not really laying into it. Listen how lame those phrases sound. If I don't do the bends, if I don't do the big vibrato, if I don't pick it hard. God, I have to stop right there. I can't even stand listening to it. Doesn't sound anything like the original if you don't put a little bit of taste on it. So as you get into those licks, man, dig in with the pick, dig in with that vibrato, shake that rope a little bit. It's gonna make it sound a whole lot more better. The most iconic part of the solo is that ascending 3-note per string thing that happens at the end. You know the part I'm talking about. As you play through those runs, you're clearly walking up the different modes of the key of D minor. The first one here is sounding out as like a B flat Lydian, then a C mix a Lydian, then a D Aeolian or D minor run to cap it off at the end. But here's the important thing to take from this. It's not just your scale positions that are making those modal changes happen. It's the chords. This is something that I talk about all the time. People think about learning modes as learning different scale shapes, and that is not the case. You're always going to be a slave to the chord changes. Use this mentality. Don't call it lead guitar. Call it follow guitar. Because in reality, we're always following the chord changes as a soloist. We're never in control of the tonality. The chords are in control of that. Here's what I mean. So that first run that we're playing, It only sounds like B flat Lydian because the rhythm guitar and bass are playing a B flat chord behind it. Whenever you hear that B flat chord with these notes being played over it, that's why it sounds Lydian, is because this A note sounds out as a 7. This B flat sounds out as the 1, the 2, the 3, the sharp 4, that's what makes it Lydian, the 5, the 6, and the 7. Now, if you played that exact same set of notes over a different chord, like let's say I played it over a G minor. Let's see if I can get the ghost of John Lord to provide me with a G minor chord. Oh, praise the Lord, very nice. Now, if I play it over that chord, it's not gonna sound like Lydian anymore. Check it out. Doesn't sound anything like Lydian. And that's because to G minor, those notes mean something entirely different. To G minor, this is a 2, a flat 3, a 4, 5, 6, flat 7, and 1. I know that's a lot of like Adam Neely music speak, you know, using all the theory terms and all that jazz, but this is extremely important. Scale patterns are not modes. Harmony is modes. What you're playing over is changing, and that is changing the definition of what all those scale notes sound like. So keep that in mind. As you learn those runs, also learn what chords are being played against, and that's going to inform you way more better than just learning shapes and calling that shape a mode. That lick is also a great training ground for alternate picking because it features inside changes, outside changes. It really is the works. It's tricky to play. Watch him play it a little bit more slower here so you can watch all the moves the picking is doing. And this is meant to be played with alternate picking. So down, up, repeat. Like right out of the gate, you can see the inside picking. And then the next change is outside picking. Makes you a really flexible alternate picker if you can master that thing. A little bit of it is finesse in the right hand to be able to, you know, thread that needle in and out of the strings as we've been talking about. But some of it is also in the left hand playing damage control. Because ultimately, if the picking hand is just kind of going down, up, and kind of acting like a wrecking ball, if the left hand is muting really carefully, you can kind of get away with some slop. Check it out. Sounded pretty clean, right? And I'm kind of smacking all the strings at a time when I do that. But you don't really hear it because I'm muting softly back here with my flesh capo, the Ed Gein specialty, the skin capo. If you'll notice when I play that run, I'm not really being careful at all with the picking hand. If your left hand is running damage control and doing good effective muting, you can get away with murder over here and not be all that precise. The tune wraps up with that rad outro solo, and man, the stretches here are absolutely brutal. I don't think I've ever played it at speed with the stretches the way that Jake does. Here's how he's doing it, but a lot slower. Yeah, that's brutal. I don't want to do that more than twice. I just can't make that happen, man. Jake is a much more agile stretcher than me when it comes to those kinds of things. And that brings me to another important thing about learning this, is learning workarounds. This is a cool thing about the guitar, guys. Any note that we have, we can play a bunch of different ways. And this is kind of integral to playing the guitar, is using that feature as a way to find out what works best for you. So like for me, whenever I play those licks, I play them with a wider string skipping kind of approach to keep me from having to do those big stretches. So essentially what I'm doing is the same notes, I'm just putting the F and E notes here instead. So whenever I play it, in order to play to my own strengths, I play it like this. It's a whole hell of a lot easier, definitely stresses my tendons out a lot less. And again, it works for me. That's the fun thing about the guitar. Sometimes figuring out something that doesn't necessarily work well for somebody else, but works well for you, that's how you start developing your own style as a player. I remember Nuno Betancourt saying something kind of similar about figuring out other people's stuff incorrectly. You might not be doing it like they did, but you're doing it in a way that works for you. And whenever you find something that works, then you can repurpose it, retool it, reuse it, and that's how you start developing your identity as a player. So there you go, guys. Everything you need to know about why you should drop whatever you're doing right now and go learn how to play Bark at the Moon by the amazing Jake E. Lee and that little band of Ozzy Osbournes. Amazing tune, so fun to play. Even though it came out before I was born, I actually still remember the first time that I heard it because it was from another guitar player. I had a buddy who had a friend that was really into guitar like I was, and he was like, man, you guys should get together and jam, it'd be so cool. So he brings this guy over to my mom's house, and we're like totally not hitting it off. It's like super awkward, you know? But out of nowhere, he busts that solo out, and whenever he got to the 3-note per string, like ascending run, it just blew my mind. I'd never heard anybody like shred through scales like that. I was like, what is that, you know? So I learned the tune, and since then, it's just become one of my go-tos to like warm up or just play for fun, because it's such a blast to play, features so many different techniques, and I know it taught me a ton. And hopefully it will for you guys too. Let me know in the comments section what song taught you a lot about mash and rope here on the rock guitar, and maybe we'll cover that on a future episode of this series. If you want to get even more out of this video, sign up today for my Patreon page over at patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. It's where you're going to get the extended and ad-free cut of this video, as well as access to hundreds of exclusive posts. Don't tell on me to Apple, but don't do it through the iOS store. You'll end up paying more and I'll end up getting less out of it. Just do it through the Patreon website. Shh. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. And be sure to tune in next week for some more guitar action. Now get away from the computer, grab that axe, and get to shredding. Less clicking, more picking.